Thank you for tuning in to Nosing Around. I'm your host, Megan Bishop. We have a great show planned for today. We do this every year and it's a great show. It's all about the Oyster Festival. The Oyster Festival is October 17th and 18th at Ocean Isle Beach by the Brunswick County Chamber. We have several guests on the show today that are going to talk about the road race and mud run, which will have Dave Hutnick. We have Rube McMullen talking about the shucking competition and the history of oysters. We have Michael Abishakara discussing some of the commemorative pieces, and Keith White, which will talk about the print. So you have a great show planned for today, and you will learn all about the Oyster Festival, and we look forward to seeing you there. We'll be right back. I'd like to welcome our first guest on the show today, Michael Abishakara with Brent Elizabeth Jewelers. Thank you, Michael, for being on our show today.
Thank you, Megan. I appreciate you having me. It's an honor.
This is our third year, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, well, we appreciate you being here again. We're excited to have you at the Oyster Festival again. Tell us a little bit about your business in Brunswick County.
I'm a native of Brunswick County, unlike so many other folks that have moved here and commuted here. I grew up with my father being in the jewelry business. I decided to branch out and study over and did my graduate gemology, my graduate jeweler in Carlsbad, California at the Gemological Institute of America. Traveled around for a while, got a lot of experience working under some great jewelers, and Brunswick County's always been home, and so when it was time to open a new business, that it just seemed natural fit to come back home.
And your dad is still in business, correct?
Yes.
So both of y'all are here in Brunswick County.
That is correct.
Tell us some specifics with your business, what you do on a daily basis.
We're a little reversed of what a lot of jewelry stores do. Most jewelry stores are focused on a retail, selling and that sort of thing. And their shop exists as a service to those clients and just to support the retail. I've always made my living as a bench jeweler, and so my main focus has always been on service. So we like to think that we specialize in repairs, custom jewelry, making things, appraisals, all the things that go into the service side of the business. 3 years ago when I opened the store in Ocean Isle, we added retail as a secondary thing to our workshop, and it's done very well as well. Okay.
We talked about custom jewelry. So you've been making a piece for us, a commemorative piece for the Oyster Festival for 3 years, and you do something a little different every year. So let's talk about the first piece, the necklace. It's a little different than last year. What is different about it this year?
Well, each year we do we select, I start in the spring sifting through shells as we go to the beach and we're out on the boat and all that stuff, looking for one that has a shape that is desirable for the necklace and is the right size and all of that sort of thing. So I try not to have them look too close alike. This year, in years past, we've used a round pearl, and we've actually affixed it to the front of the shell stationary. This year, we did an oval pearl, and we've actually got it dangling from the top of the pendant. So the pearl actually has a motion separate from the oyster shell itself. Okay, and you have a surprise, I guess, piece that you're doing this year that I'm very excited about. Tell us a little bit about that. Well, last year, the first year we did this, we did just a pendant. Last year we wanted to add something to that, and we did earrings. So this year, in continuing with that, we're making charm bracelets. There will be 5 shells, all found locally, same way on the boat and out on the beach. And so they'll be suspended from a charm bracelet, and they're not all oyster shells. There's some various different shells in there. It's going to be really pretty. We're excited about that. And both of these items will be available at the Oyster Festival, and I think you are going to start selling them a little bit before the Oyster Festival if you're interested. Tell us your contact information if someone wanted to come to your shop or contact you about these pieces for the festival. All right. We're located at 7183 Beach Drive, and that's considered Ocean Isle Beach. We're about a quarter mile from the stoplight where CVS and Food Line and Walgreens and all that's at if you head towards Ocean Isle. Okay. Our phone number is 910-575-3455. Okay. And you can also find us on Facebook and at our website, BrentElizabethJewelers.com. Okay. Well, thank you, Michael, for being on our show today. Again, these pieces will be available at the Oyster Festival, so we will see you at the festival. Thank you. We'll be there. Thank you.
I'd like to welcome Dave Hutnick with Coastal Race Productions on our show today. Thanks for being on our show.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
We're going to talk about road race and mud run with the Oyster Festival, but let's start with Coastal Race Productions. Tell me a little bit about that company.
Sure. We put on a number of different races throughout the year. Actually, this month, September, we've got Run Holden Beach, which has a 1 mile, 5K, and a half marathon race.
Okay.
We put on Run Ocean Isle Beach in October that has a 1 mile, 5K, and half marathon. Our biggest race of the year is Run Sunset Beach in May each year, and that's about 1,000 runners to come out from 30 different states in Canada. So
wow.
We put on a bunch of different races, from the Turkey Trot in Calabash, Day 1 Run in Shallotte, and it's myself and my mother-in-law, Jana.
Okay,
Jana
it's
Travin.
exciting.
Yeah.
I'm going to do the Ocean Isle Beach one, Sunset Beach one, and Holden Beach, so we're really excited. And I think it's really exciting, too, because a lot of people are looking for those half marathon runs nowadays. I guess we used to do 5Ks and 10Ks, so that's so nice that you offer that.
Half marathon is that distance that people love to do. It's not that full marathon is a lot of training, but a half marathon is still a big accomplishment. And there's not a lot of half marathons around here. There's a couple in Wilmington, a couple in Myrtle Beach, but we're really trying to provide some really great runs.
Okay,
So.
well, we're excited.
And our medals for those 3 races create the world's largest race series medal. They're huge.
Yes.
People love them.
You have to look on Facebook for some pictures of those. I know we have several of those on there. Let's talk about road race.
Okay.
So we have been doing that for years with the Oyster Festival. We have brought it back to the Oyster Festival weekend, so I think everyone really likes that.
Absolutely.
It'll be on Sunday, October 18th. Tell us a little bit about that race, because you are managing that race for me this year.
Yeah, the road race, that is one of the funnest races there is around here. The route is so flat, because we're on the island.
Yep.
The 5K is an out and back down Main Street, so you see some beautiful houses. They're right there on the beach. The 10K is even, it's really beautiful because you go out towards that gazebo. It's just a great route. People always have a lot of fun at that race, and we pull a big crowd for it.
And we start at Halifax, and then you go down the main strip toward like the Winds. Is that correct?
That's right.
Keep on going down, and then you'll turn around and come straight back.
Yeah.
So when you say flat, that's exactly what you're doing.
Exactly. There is not much elevation to it. It's a great route for people to come and get a flat, fast time on their 10K and get a new PR on their 5K. So, yeah.
And tell me a little bit about the times when they're starting that morning, because I think it's a little different from last year.
Yeah, it is a little different. Of course, we're back on festival weekend, which is great. You can stay, enjoy the weekend, enjoy the festival. The 10K starts at 7 o'clock in the morning. The 5K is going to start just a little later at 7:30,
Okay.
and then we'll do the 1 mile at 8 o'clock.
Okay.
And so kind of just one at a time, 7, 7:30, and 8, and then we'll do awards a little bit after.
And that'll be on the main stage of the festival before
That's
we
right.
start the festival that day. And you'll also have some vendors out there, I understand, which is exciting. It's really early that morning, and we love to have vendors out there, whether it be serving coffee or milkshakes or whatever it may be. Novon is the presenting sponsor for the road race, but I understand you also have Grand Strand that's going to be a pretty big sponsor out there that morning. What are they going to be doing that morning?
Grand Strand Relay Group comes out to all of our races. They usually do like smoothies and free snacks and bananas or things like that. So it's a great race day snacks and treats. Usually they'll do like a coffee or tea, but we'll probably have some other great sponsors out there as well.
Okay. And I know I'm guilty for this. I always want the T-shirt and the medal for every race. So tell us a little bit about the T-shirts and the medals for the road race.
Yeah, so the T-shirts are a nice, soft, kind of a tri-blend shirt. So they're soft and they're comfortable to wear. Everybody loves the race shirts. The medals are a little bit bigger. They're pretty heavy, and they're about 4 inches tall, 4 inches wide, with a nice ribbon. So.
Okay. And if someone is interested in registering for this race, what website can they go to?
If you go to ncoysterfestival.com, that website, and just search road race, will be at the top. But it'll direct you over to the registration on the coastalraceproductions.com site.
Okay. And they also can call the chamber, and we can direct you to you if they're interested in any sponsorships, opportunities, or having problems registering or anything like that.
Definitely.
Okay, perfect. So we're excited about that.
Yeah.
Our next thing we want to talk about is the mud run.
Yes.
This is the second year that we're doing this race. It is very popular in South Carolina and North Carolina right now. So tell us a little bit about the mud run.
All right. So first, I love to run. But to get out there and get through the mud, I have done mud runs in Dallas, Texas, up in Virginia. I've done them all over North Carolina and South Carolina. I will, with total honesty, never seen a 5K route mud run like this. There are over 30 obstacles, and to fit 30 obstacles in a 5K distance, you look at like the bigger Rugged Maniacs and the others, they have maybe 20 or 15 obstacles in a 5K distance. So to cram 30 really good obstacles That is just,
It's tough.
it is intense, but it's not so intense that like somebody who has never done one, they can still get out there and do it.
Right.
And if there's an obstacle that's too hard, or you're not comfortable climbing 20 feet over this ladder, you don't have to do it.
Wow.
But it is intense for the people who want to make it intense, and it's fun for the people who just want to go out there, take a couple hours and get muddy.
And I think last year I did it, and it took us, I had a group of 5, and it took us a good 2 hours to do it because it's tough. That mud is very thick. But I think it's nice that they also offer a kids mud run.
Oh, I love that.
I've done that a few times on the side with Shannon's kids, but it's still tough.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, but those kids have a blast.
I
So-
probably enjoy, so I've got my 8-year-old daughter, and she, every time we talk about mud run, she goes, "Daddy, can I run the mud run?" She loves it. So, yeah, I mean, getting out there with the kids, we take them through this, we call it spa quality mud. It is the thickest, thick mud.
Go to the battlefield,
The
I guess is what
battlefield,
they call
yeah.
it.
It is so much fun. And then it's just a short route that we take them through.
So we'll do the 5K for the adults, and then we'll have the kids run as well.
Yeah.
And we'll start about 8 o'clock that morning. And do heats about every 15, 20 minutes, I think is what we did last year, and what we're planning on doing, groups of 4 to 8, depending on how busy we are that morning. And tell us a little bit how they can register for that as well.
Yeah, if you go to truemud.com, TrueMud is where is the place we're going to be running the mud run out. That's just barely into Tabor City, so it's just a 15-mile drive here from the beach. Great course out there. But if you go to truemud.com, you'll see the Muddy Oyster. And the Muddy Oyster, which is going to be October 10th, that's the race you want to sign up for.
Okay. And there also will be T-shirts and medals available after that day. So October 10th, that is a Saturday morning, and then road race is October 18th, a Sunday again. So we're excited again. These are great races that are part of the Oyster Festival, and we're excited for another year.
They're so much fun.
Yeah. So thanks again for being on our show today. Coastal Race Productions, Dave Hutnick.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to welcome Rube McMullen on our show today. Thank you, Rube, for being a part of the show today.
Thank you for inviting me.
You have been on the show quite a few years with the Oyster Festival, talking about the shucking competition and the stew.
Right.
But before we get started on that, tell me a little bit about the businesses that you have around Brunswick County.
Okay. We have a number of businesses that we have created here, of course. The Ocean Isle Fishing Center, we have had open since, I think, 2003, I believe. So that's what, we're 12 years old, 13 years old. The Fishing Center is a combination of everything in the world about fishing. We have charter boats operating out of there. We have boat rentals, jet ski rentals, and we of course have the Ocean Isle Fish Company restaurant that operates there as well. And we have a commercial fishing operation where we catch all of the fish, or a lot of the fish, that we serve in the restaurant. So when folks come to dine at the restaurant, they can probably see me down there cleaning fish. I am the official cut man, and so we catch our fish, clean our fish, and they go straight up to the restaurant for the customers to enjoy.
Okay, and you have just opened that new restaurant, is that correct?
That's correct. That opened up this past year, exactly.
It's very good. Best shrimp and grits I've ever had.
Well, exactly. It's a great recipe. Chef House is the master chef, and he's as good as there is.
And we'll talk about him in just a little bit. And then you also have Wing and Fish Restaurant in Charlotte.
The Wing and Fish Restaurant in Charlotte. My son, Barrett, and his wife, Stephanie, actually run both restaurants.
Okay.
And they opened up the Wing and Fish Company. It's been a couple of years now. Same basic formula. We provide all of the fish from the Ocean Isle Fishing Center to the restaurant. Brunswick Catch is a big thing with fresh fish, and there's nobody in the world that is pushing that envelope more than we are with our catching all of our own fish.
Okay. And then you have the Swamp Park, which is your new business, which is doing really well. They were on our show actually a couple months ago. So
right.
I've enjoyed that.
Well, thank you very much. The Charlotte River Swamp Park is another huge entertainment venue that we've created. We took a large tract of land that probably didn't have a lot of other development capabilities because of all of the wetland and swamp environment, and sort of figured out, well, how do you take what's bad about a piece of property from a typical development standpoint and turn it into a positive?
Right.
And so we used all of the nature and all of the beauty of the swamp as the formula, so to speak, for the creation of the project. And so we've got 10 zip lines that run all through and around up the property, all down the swamp. You're zipping from giant cypress tree to cypress tree. You've got footbridges that you're walking across, and you're right in the middle of the swamp. So you're looking down, and you know,
it's a lot of fun.
A lot of critters down there that you get to see and enjoy, and so that's been a fun project to get going. And we just opened up here in late June, and we're beginning to really get it in gear. And of course, the tourist season is over. Now we're moving more into seeking companies that want to do team building and corporate outings and things of that sort. So that's sort of the basis of the business during the fall and the off season. And then next year we'll be back to the tourism business again.
And then during the Oyster Festival, you will have the big Ocean Isle Fishing Center boat. Second year, the kids can go on the boat and take pictures and all of that. That was a lot of fun last year. So that will be back again. And then you'll have Swamp Park and Fishing Center and your informational booths as well. So
exactly. Team OIFC is, as you know, is the 3-time national champion in the king mackerel fishing world. King mackerel tournament fishing in North Carolina is probably second in popularity, maybe to NASCAR. It's called the NASCAR of the Sea. And so we've been fortunate enough to win this national championship. It's been down in Biloxi, Mississippi 3 times now, and this year actually it's going to be in Morehead City.
Right.
So it's a huge event, and our team boat will be there, and Captain Brandt will be there, and Captain Barrett, and Amy, and Caroline, and Braden, and myself. The whole team will be there.
Good. We enjoy you being there every year. And we also enjoy you being there because of your professionalism with the shucking competition. You have done that several years. We couldn't even remember how long you have done it.
Right.
And you have been an amateur contestant with that competition. Well, tell me a little bit about how you got involved in that and why you do the shucking competition.
Well, let's see. To be sure, I am a huge oyster fan, and I'm a huge Oyster Festival fan as well.
Thank you.
And so we enjoy the event, and the Charlotte River Swamp Park is the sponsor of the oyster shucking contest, and I have participated for a number of years. I've won it a number of years. I think this past year, I believe Wilson Shirley, who is sort of runs the shucking, suggested that perhaps it's time for me to retire from the amateur division, which I got it, I understand. And I'm afraid to line myself up against all the ladies that do the professional thing, because they are unbelievable, and I know I'll end up looking like the amateur that I am, but I may do that. I may try it just for
Well, we
for
hope
fun.
so.
Yeah,
we hope so. It's a great competition that we enjoy every year.
Yep.
We also added the oyster eating competition last year. That was a lot of fun. A lot of people that you never would have thought would have been in the competition actually did very, very well. I think Shannon ended up jumping in at the last second. Our chairman of the Oyster Festival, Alan Bryant, ended up doing that competition as well. We also do the oyster stew competition, and y'all have pretty much beat out everybody the last couple years. Chef House does a great oyster stew. We actually took that to the John Boy and Billy show last year, so we had fun. He's never going to give us his recipe, but he's going to do that, you think, this year again? Possibly.
I believe that they will. I think the Ocean Isle Fish Company is going to be the contestant, but I can tell you that the success they've had is certainly, Chef House and his secret recipes, but a whole lot of it is hard work, and I've actually participated in that. They don't use, maybe I'm not sure I'm going to get in trouble for disclosing this, but they don't use canned oysters. They shuck them themselves.
Oh, yes.
And so the oysters that are going in, so we shucked oysters up there all night one night in preparation for the challenge. So
it's delicious.
Yeah,
it's the best
great.
I've ever had.
It is very good. Exactly.
We appreciate you being a participant in those competitions, and I hope you do it again this year. Tell me a little bit about the history of the oyster. I know you travel all the time, and you are oyster lover. So tell me a little bit about your experience with eating oysters, and what's your favorite, I guess.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it is interesting. If you look at oysters all around the country, there's a definite difference in the oysters. If you go to, let's just say, the Gulf of Mexico, Apalachicola, Florida is famous for its oysters. Texas, that whole Gulf region. And the oysters down there are huge, and I guess that's the Texas thing, everything's supposed to be bigger, but it's a very big oyster. That's the good news. The bad news is it is not salty. Okay, and, and it all goes to sort of a personal taste of how you like your oysters. So, but just from a characterization standpoint, the Gulf oysters are very big, but they're not salty. If you go up to the west coast of the United States, around state of Washington, they have excellent oysters there. I think they call them malpais or something like that. But at any rate, that oyster is not as big, but it's very thick and is very, very rich. I don't think you could eat a whole lot of them. And they have a pretty decent salt content, but it's just a very, very, very rich sort of food product. If you go to the up around Boston and Maine, up that way, their oysters are actually similar to the Washington State oysters, again, very rich. Then you come to North Carolina, and our oysters are not so big, but they are very salty. And so, and they're not real thick. So what ends up, I think, occurring is that when you sit down and eat oysters in North Carolina, you usually eat a whole bunch of them. And that may actually have something to do with my success in the oyster shucking contest, because when I eat oysters, I eat a lot of oysters. Therefore, I get a lot of practice. And so, so the North Carolina oyster is a thinner oyster. It's a smaller oyster, but typically it's very salty, and that is the key.
What's your favorite way to eat an oyster?
I prefer them raw or just slightly warmed. We'll usually, at my house, I have an outdoor fire pit, and we'll build a big fire, put the oysters on the fire pit, let them sit with covered with a steamed towel so that they steam, and you let them get warm, but still very, very moist. I don't personally like them when they have been on the fire too long to where they get dry. I like them still to be full of water. And so that's my style.
Okay. Well, last year you went through the whole process of how to shuck an oyster. So I think we're going to recap on that from last year. But we really appreciate you being on the show today, Rube, and we look forward to seeing you at the festival.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate y'all inviting me here, and look forward to seeing everybody at the Oyster Festival. We'll be out there in full force with Team OIFC, the Ocean Isle Fishing Center, Chinook River Swamp Park, the Fish Company, and the Wing Company. We'll be there.
Good. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
So if this were the shucking tournament, one thing they allow you to do is to substitute oysters. So what you first do is you look at your oysters, make sure that that you're happy with what you see with your oysters. For example, you want to see that the valves are set so that they're going to be easier to open. And here's an example of an oyster with a good valve right here, so you can get your knife underneath there. Versus, say, this one right here is one that I would put on the substitute list, because you can see here you don't have much of a valve to work with.
Right.
And what will happen quite often with an oyster like this is that little piece of shell will break when you go to open it, and then you got a problem, because then you really got to do surgery on it to get in there and get the oyster open. And if this is one of your oysters and you're spending a lot of time fighting one oyster, then clock's ticking, clock's getting away from me. So this is one that I would say I would substitute if we were
for another one.
Having the event. In terms of opening these oysters, the way that I would open an oyster, and I don't think anybody's invented the exact way you're supposed to do it. Everybody probably has their own technique, but for me, it's just a matter of sticking the valve in there, and I just kind of stick around and pop it like that, and then if I'm in a hurry, I'm going to pop the shell real fast like that. If I'm in the tournament, in fact, if I'm really, cooking in the tournament, when I pop that shell, it may go flying off in the audience, because I'm flying as fast as I can. And so then the next thing you want to do is to come in here and you cut the bottom piece off so that the oyster is floating free, and then you would set it down, and that would be your first oyster. And so when the judges come around, what they're looking for is that oyster to look perfect like this one right here looks. So you can see it looks just perfect. And what you wouldn't want to see is like
shell crumbs
in it, or mud, or blood, or I had cut the oyster improperly and half of it ended up over here.
Right.
And those would all be penalty points. So you want the oyster to be open perfectly, and just like this one is here. And then you would go to the next one, and the game continues on. And see, now that one I screwed up. See, this one I might be penalized on, because when I went to open it and I didn't cut the valve perfectly, and so I flipped it open and the oyster actually turned itself upside down. And so that would not be perfect. And then you see a little piece of shell you got to clear out. It doesn't hurt the eating a bit. I mean, but just in terms of.
So this thing right here, let me ask you a quick question. This is the valve, or this is the valve?
That's the muscle. That's the valve.
Okay.
All right. This is what holds the oyster in.
Right.
And the valve, of course,
in the back.
Usually get into it right.
I'd like to welcome our second guest on the show today, Keith White, and you are a local artist in Brunswick County, so thank you for being a part of our show today.
It's good to be here.
This is your 6th year doing this for the Oyster Festival, is that correct?
This is the 6th year.
And you keep coming up with new things, and it's fantastic. We always love to see your artwork every year.
Well, thank you.
So let's talk about, we'll go ahead and talk about the print for this year for the Oyster Festival. Tell us how you do the theme every year, because this is absolutely beautiful.
Well, the last few years, probably about the last 3 or 4 years, I've had almost like the same couple in the scene. And, you know, a few years ago they were out oystering actually in an oyster bed. And last year they were coming back with a full load and kind of going to own the bridge. Right? Yep. And so this year I figured, you know, the natural progression, we'll have them back home, you know, in the evening and starting a new oyster, you know, doing their own oyster roast. And just kind of relaxing and having the sunset kind of get a little bit of a different color feel and stuff.
It is a little different this year with the color. Now, is this your dog?
Yes, that is actually one of our actual dogs.
And you incorporate the dog every year, don't you? Because last year it was
a name.
A name on the boat. I remember that. Okay. Very cool. Very cool.
Which was one of our other dogs. So I put him in this year. This is our dog Baxter.
Well, I absolutely love this. I think it'll be very popular, and this will be available at the festival.
Right.
You will be selling prints, and we will also have possibly a kickoff party at the before the festival where you can also purchase the prints, and then after the festival, we will, if there's any left, we will have them at the chamber as well. So tell us a little bit of what else do you do as a local artist in Brunswick County?
Well, I'm actually a graphic artist I work at the local paper, the Brunswick Beacon. But as far as art, I do a lot of pen and ink and scratchboard stuff. And the last few years I've started doing surfboard art.
Oh, wow.
So painting on the bottom of old surfboards.
Okay.
Just kind of repair them enough that I can use it as a painting surface, and then scenes on those.
Wow.
That
people
use
sell
for.
Those?
Yeah,
okay.
And they'll hang them in their homes and stuff.
And I've seen some stuff you've done. You went to Costa Rica, is that correct?
Right.
Recently, and now what was that? That was a sketch?
It was scratchboard.
Okay.
And that was actually probably about 3 years ago. We went to Costa Rica, and the guys that we went with, you know, I just kind of did a thing that I could give to them as kind of a remember.
Yes, I've seen it. It's wonderful. Yeah, and I've seen you at several festivals, and you'll have your work at the Oyster Festival as well. So we're excited to have you another year. I'm super excited about this. We're getting ready to get this framed and ready to go, and we'll have the prints available at the Oyster Festival.
Right.
If someone wanted to contact you, could they call your cell phone or email you?
They could. They can call the chamber and get in touch with me. And I also have a Facebook. You can go to Keith White Artist, and that'll take you to a Facebook page that I've got set up.
Okay.
But
if you have any questions, you can call the chamber, 910-754-6644, and we can answer any questions as well. And they'll see you in a few months, and they'll be available. So thank you so much for being on our show today, Keith.
Oh, no problem. It's good to be here. Thank you.
Want to live a Tanger-inspired life? Find your style with brands you'll love at exceptional savings. That's Tanger Outlets. Let Tanger style your life for less. Shop inspired. Shop for style. Shop for life at Tanger Outlets.
Wow, what a great show we had today. It's all about the Oyster Festival. We are super excited for the festival this year. Again, the dates are October 17th and 18th at Ocean Isle Beach. We've learned a lot about the festival, the history of the oyster. We've seen the commemorative pieces that we will be selling at the festival this year. If you have any questions or want to check out the events that we will have, the entertainment, the competitions, it is all on the NorthCarolinaOysterFestival.com website. It is a new website with lots of information, or you can call the chamber at 910-754-6644. I would like to thank Tommy Bahama at Tanger Outlets at Highway 17 North Myrtle Beach for supplying me with my wardrobe today, and Dane Delane Salon Studio at Ocean Isle Beach for hair and makeup. Thank you, and we'll see you next month.
Megan's Wardrobe, courtesy of Tommy Bahama at Tanger Outlets in Myrtle Beach, and hair by Dane Delane Salon Studio in Ocean Isle Beach.
Chamber Highlight set is provided by Summer Home Furniture, located on Express Drive in Charlotte. Stop by today to outfit your home in style.